Hey guys, so I want to help you answer the question, is it really your fault? And really dig into when and why someone's reaction to you might actually have nothing to do with you at all. This is a problem that I think happens to ENFJs or FE users more likely than others, but it's a problem that everyone has to deal with. So I'm just gonna dive into answering this question. I know for me personally, almost my entire life, every time someone would have a negative reaction to me, my gut would be to be like, what did I do wrong? And it can get really self-loathing and self-critical, but that's just what I would do. And if someone was upset with me, I literally am unable to be happy or think about anything else until I figure out why, or if we could talk it through, or if I could say I'm sorry or whatever. And I realize it's been kind of a life theme that people will get upset with me or be rude to me or ignore me or something. And sometimes I know what I did wrong, I know what's wrong and I can apologize, but sometimes I literally don't know what they're reacting to. I'm confused. I feel like something must be wrong with me. And this is just a really bad pattern to get into, because there are some very clear signs whenever someone is reacting to you versus if they're reacting to themselves. And I definitely don't want anyone that's listening to get into the trap that I did, where literally everything people are doing, they're just reacting to you. One very clear example is if someone's in a bad mood, like maybe their cat just died or something. If someone's in a bad mood and you go over to them like, oh my gosh, hey, how's it going? And they like don't laugh at your joke. You think, oh my God, like, am I not funny? Like, it's honestly, it's a very noble problem to have, because you're always, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? And like trying to make sure that everything's good. And it's a very humble problem to have, because you are understanding that like you're not perfect and that you contribute to problems, but it's also pretty selfish, because who was talking about you anyway? You know, like, who brought you into the situation? Like, maybe they were sad for some other reason. So that's like the number one example that I would think of, is someone is sad about completely something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. That's one example. And you can tell because they seem pretty unfazed by you. Whenever someone is reacting to something that has completely nothing to do with you, they will probably act the same before and after your interaction with them. And they might feel like a little distant, they might not be looking at you, they might, you might not really feel a clear connection to that person. But there's also another thing that is even more confusing, where someone is technically reacting to you, but really they are reacting to the feelings that they feel because of your existence that has nothing to do with your actions. Let me see if I can explain this in a different way. The best example I know how is in I think this tends to happen more with family, friends, or romantic relationships where people are more intimate, where you being around that person makes them think of either memories that are painful, or maybe they compare themselves to you, or maybe you are skilled at something that they're not skilled at, therefore they resent you for that, which is slightly different than comparing. Because you could be like, oh my God, I wish I was like you, I feel inferior. Or you can be like, oh my God, I hate how talkative you are, can you please shut up? And that's because this person doesn't express themselves, and so they resent people that do express themselves. It's kind of two different ways. This is that you spur something in them your existence spurs a reaction that has literally nothing to do with you or what you did. You just are basically acting as a symbol or as something for someone to project onto. And I'd be willing to bet that this happens way more often than not. Like, there are times whenever you are reacting to someone because of what they did. Like, oh my God, we had plans to go to this concert together and you didn't text me back and bailed on me. Like, that sucks. That is a situation where that reaction is to you, your action. But most situations, I'm beginning to realize, are actually nothing to do with you at all, and are to do with a projected image of you. And that kind of sucks. That might make you feel pretty shitty that people are reacting to you that way. But it's also kind of freeing, and you can kind of feel in control whenever you realize, like, hey, I don't have to have a part of this, because I am not the projected image that you have of me. I am me. And so if you're projecting onto me, that's not my fault. And okay, so let's get into, how do you know if someone is projecting onto you? Well, mindfulness is key for really knowing anything. So, like, really you have to take a deep breath and calm your mind, because your ego is going to say all sorts of things like, oh my God, they hate me, or oh my God, like, I'm the worst person, or I hate them, they're a jerk for doing that. You need to, like, get rid of all that noise and just take a deep breath and feel at the pit of your stomach, and ask yourself, am I living by my truth and my values and my morals? If I am, and they still reacted to me, do they have a different moral system than me? Or are they projecting? Sorry if this is not the most concrete advice. I'm trying to have it get out. If you have any concrete questions, feel free to comment, because I do feel like I really get this concept. It's just a matter of figuring out how to explain. Because, I mean, there are situations where, like, you did absolutely nothing wrong, but they are still reacting to you. Like, for example, got in an argument with my step-grandpa about the Muslim ban. And he was saying just, we don't want any of them, we don't want any Muslims or whatever. And I was saying, like, no, like, you can't discriminate based on someone's religion, and you can't discriminate based on someone's ethnicity or where they're from. You should only discriminate based on terrorist ties and actual evidence. And he was reacting to what I was saying, but it was because we disagreed and because we had a different belief. So that wasn't projecting, even though I still did nothing wrong. But people, when someone is projecting, you might feel a little confused to be like, wait a minute, what's going on? What are they reacting to? And it might cause you to sort of spiral and wonder, like, at least for me, I really, in those situations, I try and dig really deep and ask myself, all right, am I being truthful? Am I being honest? Because I don't understand why someone would react that way, because I am being honest and truthful. And it gets really confusing for me. And so what I'm learning to do is, in those situations where a reaction confuses you, think about, why would they... Try and think about yourself as not a person, and think of yourself as an object. I know that might feel really foreign for you, especially if you're an ENFJ or an FE user in general. You might be like a little turned off by that idea, but think about yourself as an object that can give things to someone, like tangible things like love, attention, like care, like think of yourself as an object and think, what do you think that you represent to that person? And like, for example, like, here's an easy example. My sister, I'm her older sister. So if we were to get in a fight, if she were to be projecting, I need to remember, like, I am her older sister. And so she will always view me as an older sister. And that has a lot of implications because she might look up to me, or she might always feel my shadow or something like that. And especially the same with like my mom. Like whenever I'm doing something, she might not be fighting with me, or like when we fight, like she might not be actually I might not have done anything wrong, but the fact that I'm her daughter means that she wants to protect me above all else. And so even though I'm sticking to my truth and my feelings, her reactions have more to do with her fear of me being unsafe, because she wants me to be safe. In a lot of romantic relationships, someone might be projecting onto you their own worthiness. Like, I think that you are perfect, I put you on a pedestal, and if there's anything that you don't like about me, then that means that I'm bad. And that's a lot of pressure to put on someone. And that's not honest either. That is treating someone like an object, and that is treating someone like a prop. Even though it feels all fun and dandy and friendly and honest, or whatever it feels like, you can tell. I mean, I guess the point of this video, I want to wrap this up soon so it's not too long, but I want to explore this topic further. The point is that you can't, please don't be me in the situation, and especially fellow ENFJs, please don't just always beat yourself up and wonder whenever you're unsure why someone reacted negatively to you, because it's not always your fault, and you have to think about what you can control and what you can't control. And you know what, if you don't even want to think about, oh, am I an object to this person, what can I give them, what might I symbolize to them, if you don't want to think about that, don't. But to me, it sometimes helps, because I'm an NJ and I like to really dig deep into things and know why. To me, it helps me to not be confused, to think about that. And I get pretty confused if I don't know the reason why to things. It kind of drives myself crazy. So I have to think like, okay, why might they be acting like that? And that's really helpful for me. I don't need to know what someone thinks of me. I don't really even need to care. But what I do want is for their reactions to make sense, because I think what I know, what a lot of ENFJs know, is that if someone is reacting if people react negatively to me and it becomes a pattern, then there's probably something in me that I must change. That is typically right, but it is not always right. And that's what I need to remember. Because there is, I mean, let's just say, look at my childhood. There were plenty of times where people would react to me like, whoa, what? Because I was like so intense and kind of pushy with people, and be like, tell me all about you. Like, I'm so interested in talking to you. Like, that pushes people away. And I learned over time from seeing their reactions, okay, like, this is a pretty steady pattern, that every time I am really over the top, people don't react well. And I mean, sometimes those things are humbling and you learn from them, but sometimes it's not actually your fault. Sometimes you're just being you. And people have a lot of emotions about a lot of things. Even if they aren't a feeler, even if they aren't expressive, people have so many emotional ties to words, to events, to things. Even something as simple as a meal could remind them of a time that their like boyfriend broke up with them because they were eating that meal, or something like people are way more emotional than they like to think, and then they like to show. And I think that's what a lot of ENFJs know, is that I'm just being honest about my emotions. I don't keep them in. So, well, side note, but what always bugs me is, since I'm so open about my emotions, people think that I'm just showing the tip of the iceberg and that there's a lot deeper down in there. Actually, I'm going to make another video about this topic because this is a different topic. But thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Bye.